Before the gentle sunlight, before the retirement home, before Lewis and Walter ever competed for her attention, there is a moment. We open on Mara, sitting alone in a quiet, dimly lit room. Her hands tremble around a framed photograph, her late husband smiling back at her. Her voice is soft, cracked. Mara whispering, "I don't know how to live without you, but I can't live like this anymore." She closes her eyes. A tear slips down. This is not a woman starting a new life. This is a woman fighting not to drown in the old one.
Suddenly,
Knock. Knock. Mara flinches. Outside her door, the moving truck crew waits. "Mover.
Mom?
We're ready when you are." Mara inhales sharply, as if stepping into a new world might shatter her. She forces herself to stand, and as she walks toward the door, the camera pans across the room. The empty walls, the boxed-up memories, the quiet goodbyes. This isn't a move. This is the final echo of a chapter she never wanted to close. Cut to retirement home entrance. The doors slide open. Mara steps into Serenity Oaks retirement community for the first time, and instantly everything changes. Because in that moment, two men notice her. One, Lewis, who drops his coffee and stares like Hope just walked in wearing a cardigan. The other, Walter, who lifts his gaze from his book and studies her with a calm, deep curiosity. Lewis whispers to himself, "Lewis. Oh no, I think I'm in trouble." Walter closes his book slowly. Walter, to himself, "Interesting." And Mara? She has no idea her arrival just sparked the most unexpected, heartwarming rivalry this quiet community has ever seen. She only knows one thing. Everything in her life is about to change, whether she's ready or not. 2 days later, Margaret steps out of her car in front of Rosewood Retirement Village. The place is surprisingly lively, sunlit walkways, rose bushes in full bloom, residents chatting on benches, several laughing over a board game. She hesitates at the entrance, gripping her bag strap nervously. Then a whistle. A playful, confident whistle. Margaret turns. Leaning casually against a railing is Franklin Dunn, though everyone calls him Frank. Snow-white hair combed neatly, a mischievous glint in his eye. He lifts 2 fingers in a suave salute. Well, he says with a warm, teasing smile. "If it isn't the prettiest woman I've seen since, well, ever." Margaret blinks, caught off guard. "Oh my, aren't you charming?" Frank grins wider. "You haven't seen anything yet." Before Margaret can respond, a calm voice interrupts. "Please excuse him." Frank tends to greet all new residents like they're Hollywood stars on a red carpet. She turns to find Harold Briggs, standing with hands politely clasped behind him. His presence is warm, steady, comforting even. Margaret smiles politely.
I'm Margaret.
"Welcome to Rosewood," Harold says. "We're a little loud, a little quirky, but very friendly." "Speak for yourself," Frank quips. "I'm loud, quirky, friendly, and incredibly handsome." Harold rolls his eyes, and Margaret laughs unexpectedly, a soft, genuine laugh that surprises her. She hadn't laughed like that in months. That night, after settling into her room, Margaret attends the newcomers' dinner. She balances her tray carefully, scanning for a seat. Frank waves both arms dramatically. "Over here, beautiful." Margaret blushes, embarrassed by the attention, and walks toward their table. Just as her elbow knocks a bowl of soup, sending it splashing across Frank's shirt.
She gasps.
"Oh, dear. I'm so sorry." Frank stands up instantly, unaffected. Finally, a woman who knows how to make an impression. She covers her mouth, mortified. "I didn't mean." No, Frank says proudly, spreading his arms. "I look good in chicken noodle." Brings out my eyes. Harold hands her a napkin. "Don't mind him. Are you hurt?" "No," she says, cheeks flaming. "Well," Frank adds dramatically, "my dignity is wounded, but I'll survive." Margaret cannot help but laugh again. Something warm blooms in her chest. For the first time in a long time, she feels alive. Over the next week, Margaret begins settling in. The narration slows, becoming more intimate. Margaret wakes early each morning, walking the garden paths lined with sunflowers and trimmed hedges. She joins the knitting circle, badly. She attends evening socials, nervously. She listens to residents tell old stories, politely. But two men keep appearing in her days. Frank and Harold. Opposites in every possible way. Frank bursts into a room like fireworks, charming, loud, playful, always ready with a joke or a song. He carries his old guitar everywhere and strums classic jazz for anyone willing to listen, though usually it ends up being Margaret. Harold, on the other hand, is quiet, thoughtful, soft-spoken. He holds doors, remembers small details, always listens before he speaks. He tells stories gently, with a wisdom that makes Margaret feel seen and understood. People whisper. The new lady's got both of them after her. Frank hasn't flirted this hard in years. And Harold's making coffee for someone? Oh, she must be special. Margaret pretends she doesn't hear, but her heart does. It beats differently around each man. One evening, after a week of playful flirting, Frank approaches her with a flourish. Margaret, my dear, he announces dramatically, I have an offer you cannot refuse. She laughs. And what on earth might that be? A night out.
Dinner.
Music. My treat. She hesitates. Frank, I don't know if. He places a hand on his chest. If it goes terribly, I will personally wash every dish in the restaurant. Margaret chuckles.
Fine.
One dinner. Frank pumps a fist triumphantly. Harold watches from a distance. His expression is gentle, but something in his eyes flickers. Something quiet, but unmistakable. The dinner begins with laughter. Frank drives her in a borrowed vintage convertible, singing loudly over the wind. At the restaurant, he tells big stories, jokes with the waiters, persuades the pianist to let him sing.
People clap.
Margaret claps too. She laughs often. But as the evening goes on, a subtle pressure forms in her chest. She enjoys him, truly, but something feels overwhelming. Too loud, too fast, too bright. Frank means well, but Margaret feels as if she is being swept into a whirlwind when what her heart needs is something gentler. A quiet corner, a calm voice, a safe space, and someone who sees her grief, not just her smile. When she returns to Rosewood, the night is still. The courtyard is lit with strings of soft yellow bulbs. Harold sits on a bench, reading under their glow. He looks up, surprised. Back so soon? Margaret exhales. Frank is lively. Harold smirks knowingly. He's like a firecracker. Loud, colorful, unpredictable. Margaret sits beside him. It wasn't bad, just a lot. Harold closes his book. It's okay to want quiet, Margaret. She looks at him, really looks. I think I do, she whispers. And Harold's eyes soften in a way that melts something inside her. But the world has a cruel habit of twisting simple moments. The next morning, Frank helps her down from a chair, briefly holding her hand for balance. A resident gasps. Another whispers, oh, she's chosen him. By midday, the entire community buzzes with the rumor. Harold hears it, and the distance begins. He still smiles at her, still greets her kindly, but his warmth has retreated behind a polite wall. Margaret feels the coldness immediately. Her chest tightens. She wants to explain, but Harold avoids long conversations. For the first time, Margaret feels lost. Not because she must choose between two men, but because she's afraid of losing the one who understands her heart. That night, grief returns like a tide. Alone in her room, Margaret opens the wooden memory box she has avoided since moving. Inside lie letters her husband wrote her, little notes from anniversaries, birthdays, random mornings. She reads one slowly, voice trembling. My Maggie, if one day the world feels heavy, remember. You've carried me through storms without realizing it. You're stronger than you think. And you deserve happiness in every chapter. Her tears fall onto the paper. She clutches the letter to her chest and whispers, I miss you. I don't know how to live without you. How do I move on without leaving you behind? And for the first time since he died.
She cries.
Really cries, body shaking, grief pouring out of every corner she had tightly locked away. It is raw, painful, healing, necessary. The next morning, her smile is faint but real. A fragile smile born from release. Rosewood announces their annual community games event: bowling, shuffleboard, trivia, talent show. Frank and Harold, both unaware of the other's intentions, sign up to impress her. The result is chaotic. Frank bowls first and dramatically sends the ball flying into the wrong lane, knocking over someone else's pins. Harold coughs from laughing too hard. Harold attempts shuffleboard next and leans too far, pulling a muscle with a loud "ah, my back." Frank bursts into giggles. Margaret laughs so hard her sides ache. Truly, joyfully laughs. But soon the competition grows too intense. Bragging, accidental insults, heated comments. She steps forward, voice trembling but firm. "Stop. Please." Both men freeze. "I am not a prize," she says quietly. "I'm a woman who is still trying to heal. And right now you're both overwhelming me." Her voice cracks. Harold and Frank both go silent. And for once, both men look ashamed. The next morning arrives gently. Sunlight spills through delicate floral curtains in Mara's room, and she wakes slowly, stretching her fingers as if checking whether loneliness is still lying beside her like an old, stubborn companion. But today, something feels different.
Hope.
A small, flickering kind. She sits up, smooths her hair, and glances at the small paper program she left on her bedside table. Sunday morning garden social, 9:30 a.m. She's already decided she won't attend. Crowds make her anxious, and cheerful old couples holding hands only remind her of what she lost. Still, she holds the flyer in her hand for too long. A knock interrupts her thoughts. Marlene, from the hallway. "Mara, do you eat breakfast or photosynthesize?" Mara smiles despite herself.
Mara.
Photosynthesize. Saves on groceries. Marlene peeks in, dressed in a vibrant turquoise sweatsuit, hair pinned in a messy but somehow stylish puff, smelling faintly of peppermint lotion. Marlene. "Good. Then you can walk with me to the dining hall. And before your brain lies to you, yes, you look fine."
Mara.
"I didn't say anything." Marlene. "You thought it loud." Mara sighs, amused, resigned, and grateful all at once. Cut to dining hall. The dining hall buzzes with chatter, the kind of light, chaotic morning energy that only elderly communities have mastered. People greeting the same friends every day as if they haven't seen them in months. Laughter, mild bickering, the clatter of dishes. Mara enters behind Marlene and instantly feels eyes on her. She doesn't know it yet, but Louis and Walter have spotted her from across the room. Walter is at his usual spot, newspaper open, glasses slipping down his nose, casual, calm, composed. Louis, meanwhile, is at the juice station, stirring his orange juice with dramatic intensity, as if preparing for battle. Louis, whispering to himself, "That's her. Sunshine girl. Try not to spill anything this time, Louis. Or talk too much. Or breathe weirdly." He takes a breath. Immediately coughs. Nearly drops the cup. Walter watches the chaos with mild amusement. Walter. "You good over there, buddy?" Louis. "Excellent."
Perfect. I'm thriving. Don't worry about me.
Walter. "That's exactly what a person who's not thriving would say." Louis glares playfully, but he can't help glancing at Mara again. She looks softer today, but still guarded. A woman who's survived heartbreak but hasn't let it steal her gentleness. Louis is already smitten. Walter is already curious. Marlene leads Mara to a table near the window. Marlene.
Seat.
"I'll get us some fruit before they run out and try to poison us with stewed prunes again." Mara takes a seat and instantly feels someone approaching. Footsteps. Hesitant. Nervous. She looks up just as Louis arrives, clutching 2 cups of orange juice like peace offerings. Louis. Morning. I'm not stalking you. Just, walking in your general direction." Mara blinks, surprised.
A small smile rises.
Mara, good morning, Louis. Louis beams like she handed him a medal. Louis, I brought you juice. I don't know if you like orange juice. Some people find it acidic, or too sweet, or nostalgic, or traumatic, I don't know. Mara, I like orange juice. He freezes. Louis,
Great.
wonderful, perfect. He places the cup in front of her, hands trembling slightly. Mara looks at him with gentle curiosity. Louis looks like a man who has too many feelings and no idea where to put them. Walter approaches, calm and smooth. He stops at Mara's table with the ease of a man who has lived long enough to know when to take his time. Walter. Morning, Mara. Didn't expect to see you so early.
Mara.
Marlene kidnapped me. Walter. She tends to do that. He nods politely to Louis, who stiffens like a soldier at attention. Louis. Walter. Fancy seeing you here. In the dining hall, where everyone eats. Walter.
Yes.
That tends to be how dining halls work. Louis glares. Walter smirks. Mara bites back a smile. The dynamic between the two men is unintentionally hilarious. Walter places a small plate of muffins on the table. Walter. Thought you might like these.
Blueberry.
They go fast. She hesitates.
2 men.
Both kind. Both offering something. A warmth spreads through her chest. A feeling she hasn't felt in a very, very long time. Being noticed. Marlene returns, squinting suspiciously. Marlene.
Oh.
I leave you alone for 30 seconds, and now you have an audience. Louis and Walter step slightly apart, but the tension is unmistakable. Marlene, whispering to Mara. Which one are you leaning toward? Mara. Marlene. I only met them yesterday. Marlene. Doesn't answer my question. Mara rolls her eyes, but her cheeks warm. Breakfast continues. Small talk flows naturally. Louis tells awkward but charming stories about his younger days, odd jobs, a failed tap dancing phase, and a passionate but short-lived attempt to train squirrels. Walter shares calmer, more serious stories, his years teaching history, the books he's written, and a few witty remarks that catch Mara off guard. Mara listens, laughs softly, and begins to shed her defenses. For the first time since her husband died,
She feels alive.
later, Mara walks back to her room. When she thinks no one is looking, she glances back into the dining hall. Louis is watching her leave, face soft, hopeful. Walter is watching too, thoughtful, considering. They both notice each other noticing. The rivalry is officially alive. Cut to Louis and Walter outside. Louis stops Walter near the exit. Louis. So, we're doing this, huh? Walter. Doing what? Louis. Competing.
Courting.
Trying to win the heart of the mysterious new widow with the pretty eyes. Walter chuckles. Walter. I'm not competing with you, Louis. Louis. Oh, really? Good.
Great.
Fantastic. A beat. Walter. I'm simply going to let her choose naturally. Louis throws his hands up. Louis. That's worse. Now I have to act natural?
Walter, I'm 72.
Nothing about me is natural anymore. Walter laughs. Louis doesn't. Cut to Mara in her room. She sits on the edge of her bed. Her heart is light, but her chest tightens too.
Guilt.
Unexpected, unwelcome guilt. As if smiling with someone else is a betrayal. She closes her eyes, whispers.
Mara.
Daniel. I'm not trying to replace you. I'm just lonely. A single tear slips down. But for the first time, it doesn't fall from pain. It falls from healing. The retirement home. Early afternoon. The sun sits high, warm and bright over the community courtyard. Residents scatter across benches and small tables, some reading newspapers, others knitting or gossiping in tight circles that look like sweet but deadly information clubs. Mara steps outside for fresh air, hoping to clear her head, but she's not even halfway to the fountain before someone spots her. That someone is Louis, who has been lurking behind a potted palm like a nervous meerkat. Louis, whispering to himself. Okay, Louis. Be smooth.
Be calm.
Like butter left out too long.
Soft.
Yes. Soft. He straightens and marches toward her. Louis makes his first move. Louis. Mara, fancy seeing you here in this, public space that everyone uses. Mara smiles gently. Mara. He clears his throat, shifts his weight, then pulls something from behind his back, a small bouquet of wildflowers. They're unevenly trimmed, and some stems are sticking at odd angles. Clearly, he gathered them himself. Louis. These are for you. They reminded me of you. Well, not all of them. Some are a bit wonky, but the pretty ones did. Mara blushes, touched in a way she wasn't expecting. Mara. They're lovely. Thank you. Louis nearly combusts from joy. But then, Walter arrives. From the pathway, Walter approaches with natural ease, wearing a soft gray sweater, hands in his pockets, calm as ever. Walter. Mara. I was hoping I'd run into you. Louis mutters under his breath. Of course you were. Walter notices the flowers. Walter. Nice bouquet, Louis. I didn't know the groundskeepers were letting residents raid the garden. Louis stiffens. Louis. They weren't. I liberated them for a noble cause. Walter hides a smirk. Then he turns to Mara and hands her a small, wrapped object. Walter. I brought you something too. It's one of my favorite books. You mentioned at breakfast you liked poetry, so I thought you might enjoy it. Mara unwraps it carefully. It's a vintage poetry collection, soft, worn, loved. She opens the cover and sees a handwritten dedication from decades ago. Her throat tightens. Mara, it's beautiful. She looks up at Walter with sincere gratitude. Louis looks at the book, then at his crooked flowers, then at the book again. Louis.
Cool. Cool.
So we're giving out heirlooms now?
Great.
Love that for all of us. Mara tries not to laugh. Walter pretends not to notice. He definitely noticed. The rivalry escalates. Someone from afar calls. Activity director, shouting. Bingo in 10 minutes. This round is prizes. Louis perks up. Walter groans. Louis. Prizes? Like what? Director. Gift baskets. Chocolates. A $10 Walmart card. Louis gasps dramatically. Louis. Mara. Do you like chocolate? Mara. Sometimes, yes. Louis. Perfect. Amazing. Say no more. Walter narrows his eyes. Walter. Louis, you're not seriously going to. Louis. I absolutely am. And without another word, Louis sprints toward the game hall. Mara giggles softly. Walter shakes his head. Walter. That man would climb a mountain on one leg if he thought it'd win someone's heart. Mara glances at Walter. Mara. And you wouldn't? Walter smiles, slow and warm. Walter. I'd climb it, but only if I knew the person wanted me at the top. Something in Mara's chest shifts. An ache she didn't know she wanted. A warmth she forgot she could feel. Cut to Bingo Hall. Louis enters like a general preparing for the battle of his life. He grabs a bingo card, sits at the very front, leans forward like a sniper stalking numbers. Other residents stare like, what is wrong with this man? The game begins. Numbers roll. Louis calls bingo too early.
Twice.
He gets scolded.
Twice.
The third time his card is actually correct. He jumps up. Louis. I want the chocolate basket. The activity director flinches. Louis returns and ruins the moment. Louis bursts onto the courtyard path holding the massive chocolate basket over his head like an Olympic trophy. Louis. Mara. For you. Walter sighs. Loudly. Louis pushes the basket into Mara's hands. Mara. Louis, this is very sweet. Louis. That's what everyone says about me. Both about my personality and my blood sugar levels. Walter snorts. Walter. I'm sure she appreciates it. I just hope you won't pass out from all that running. Louis flicks a smug eyebrow. Louis. Oh, I don't need to outrun you. I only need to impress her. Mara rubs her forehead, trying not to laugh at the absurdity. Marlene shows up, ready for drama. Marlene. Oh, good. 2 roosters. And 1 hen. This should go well. Mara groans. Marlene. Tell me everything. Who's winning?
Who's losing?
Who's delusional?
Mara.
Marlene, stop. Marlene.
What?
I'm providing commentary. She pulls Mara aside and lowers her voice. Marlene. It's obvious both of them like you. And it's about time someone did. That hits Mara deep.
Warm.
Reassuring. Slightly scary. Marlene. You don't have to choose yet. Just let yourself feel again. That's all. Mara exhales shakily. Transition late afternoon. We see a Louis practicing lines in a hallway mirror. Walter writing something in his notebook. Mara sitting by her window, holding the flowers in one hand, the poetry book in the other. Uncertain. Intrigued.
Alive.
Ending beat of part 3. Night descends. Mara closes the poetry book, whispering a line aloud. Mara softly. The heart, once cracked by sorrow, does not close, it expands, making room for light it thought it would never hold again. She presses the book to her chest. And outside her window, both Louis and Walter, separately, glance up at her light. The triangle has officially begun. Spring settles fully over Serenity Oaks. Flowers bloom. The air smells of lavender and cut grass. Residents settle in for the monthly garden social, tables decorated with soft pastels and lace cloths. Mara sits quietly on a bench near the fountain, watching the water ripple. Her hands rest on her lap. She looks peaceful but conflicted. She hasn't given Louis or Walter an answer. Not because she wants both. Not because she can't decide who is better. But because she doesn't know if she deserves a second chance at love. Her grief still lives inside her, softer now, but real. Louis approaches first. He walks toward her holding a small object hidden behind his back. He's oddly calm today.
No rushing, no tripping, no nervous hands.
Louis. Mara?
Can I sit?
She nods. He sits beside her, shoulders relaxed. Louis. Listen. I know I've been doing a lot. Maybe too much. She smiles gently. A silent confirmation. Louis hesitates, then reveals what he brought. A small hand-carved wooden sunflower. Rough in some places, polished in others, but beautiful in its imperfect sincerity. Louis. I made this for you. Not to impress you, but because I wanted you to know something. He places it in her hand. Louis. When I look at you, I don't see a woman who needs rescuing or cheering up. I see someone strong. Someone who survived heartbreak, but still wakes up every day trying again. His voice softens. Louis. You make this place brighter, Mara. If the only role I get to play is someone who makes you smile, then I'm lucky already. Mara's eyes well. This is the most honest he's ever been. Louis stands, gives her a warm, sad smile. Louis. Whatever you choose, just promise me you'll choose happiness. Even if it's not me. And with that, he walks away. For the first time, Louis leaves without fighting, without competing. Just letting go. A few minutes later, Walter approaches. Walter sees Louis leaving, but doesn't comment. Instead, he walks toward Mara with quiet confidence, hands tucked in his pockets. He sits beside her on the bench. Walter. You look like you've been doing some thinking.
Mara.
I have. A calm breeze passes. Walter waits, patient, comfortable in silence. Walter. I haven't wanted to pressure you. Life already does enough of that. He looks at her with steady warmth. Walter. But I want you to know whatever choice you make, I'm grateful I got to know you. You remind me that connection isn't a young person's privilege. It's a human one. Mara swallows hard.
Mara.
Walter, if I'm being honest,
I'm scared.
I don't know if I'm ready. Losing Daniel broke me in ways I don't fully understand yet. Walter nods slowly. Walter. I know. And I don't want to replace him. He turns to face her fully. Walter, I want to be someone who adds new chapters to your life, not overwrite the old ones. The words land heavy but gentle, truth she didn't know she needed. Mara makes her decision. She inhales deeply, then exhales, trembling slightly.
Mara.
Walter, I feel something with you. Something calm. Something safe. Her voice cracks.
Mara.
But Louis, he reminded me that joy still exists. That I can laugh again. That my heart isn't buried with Daniel. A tear slides down. Walter wipes it gently.
Mara.
Both of you help me breathe again. But when I imagine waking up and sharing quiet mornings, when I imagine conversations, slow days, long walks, your face is the one I see. Walter's expression softens with gratitude, deep and humble. Walter, are you sure?
Mara. Yes.
I'm sure. Walter grips her hand gently, not claiming her, not possessing her, simply holding space for her. Louis returns for closure. Surprisingly, Louis walks back. Not upset, not dramatic. He stands a few feet away, hands in his pockets. Louis. So? You picked him, didn't you? Mara nods. Louis lets out a small, sad but genuine laugh. Louis.
Yeah.
I figured. The man looks like a walking Hallmark card. Walter shakes his head, chuckling. Louis walks up and gently pats Mara's shoulder. Louis. No hard feelings. Really. I'm glad you chose what your heart needed. And Walter? Treat her right. Or you'll deal with me. Walter laughs. Walter. I'll take good care of her. You have my word. Louis nods, satisfied. Louis. Good. Now I'm gonna go flirt with that new lady who moved into room 2B. She looks like she has low standards. Mara and Walter burst into laughter. Louis waves as he leaves. Final scene, sunset at the fountain. The courtyard empties slowly, soft music drifting from the recreation hall. Mara and Walter sit together on the bench, watching the fountain glow gold in the setting sun. Walter places his arm along the back of the bench, not touching her, just near enough to offer warmth. Mara leans her head gently on his shoulder. No pressure.
No rules. Just peace.
Mara softly. I didn't think I'd ever feel this again. Walter kisses the top of her head. Walter. Second chances come when we least expect them. Mara smiles.
Mara.
And sometimes in the most unexpected places. They sit there, two silhouettes against a pink sky. Not replacing old love, but creating a new one. Together.
Slowly.
With grace. If you like more videos like this, please like, subscribe, and share. See you on our next video.